Hello, welcome to a new episode on our podcast. And today, if you are a finance professional and want to learn how to upscale your career, this is the episode for you. I want to welcome Dhawal and Asif. How are you, Dhawal and Asif?
Thank you for having us here, Les. We are fine and looking forward to this episode. All excited.
Amazing. So just let me present you. Dhawal Parvatikar and Asif Masani, based in Mumbai and Dubai. You are the co-founders of FP&A Professional Institute, and you are helping with digital courses and many other things to finance professionals to amplify and upscale their career. But before we jump into talking about your amazing professional work, I want to start with you, Dhawal, and ask you what inspired you to start FP&A?
I think the inspiration came from my own challenges, that when I completed chartered accountancy, which is believed to be one of the toughest courses in the country, I joined a job and then my boss asked me to prepare a budget and a forecast. And I had never heard of these before. So that's when I thought that there is a real gap in the academics, which one needs to fill. That's what inspired us to start FPI, where we are now providing coaching and certification programs, which are helping finance professionals understand about performance of the business and aspects like financial planning and analysis, management reporting. That is where our courses come into play.
Amazing. And Asif, I want to ask you, because you've done it for quite some time now, helping tens of thousands of people to get their accreditation, which is amazing. How do you feel that the work has changed or developed over the years you are doing it?
Right. So when I was an analyst, which is 15 years back, I was more focused on preparing reports, which is creating Excel file, getting data and presenting it as a presentation to my senior. Okay, now all of that has been automated. What you need as a finance professional is to be able to use technology and then be able to analyze what is behind those reports and then be able to help the business make decisions. So everything that could have been done which was repetitive, which is boring, has been automated. And right now, finance people need to be more as business partners and help the business make decisions.
Amazing. And how is your, company? How was FP&A changed, over the last decade?
Sure. I mean, FP&A is not something new. It has been in existence since last couple of decades, probably in the name of management accounting. What has changed recently is that companies have started generating a lot of data, not just financial data, but a lot of operational data as well. So that is where finance professionals are now vested with the responsibility to analyze this data, come up with the trends, and then provide insights to the business teams to take meaningful decisions. So that is how management accounting has evolved to become financial planning and analysis with the evolution of data and technology. So that's why FP&A teams enjoy this unique position of sitting very close to the CFO's office, because they are supporting the business teams in decision making.
Amazing. And Asif, what do you say that are the top three, qualities that an FP&A professional should have in order to be a good one?
Yeah. So if you would ask me the top three, I would say the number one would be understanding of the business. So if you're not able to understand how the business works, how the business is making money, then it'll be very difficult for you to help anybody in your team. So understanding business is the most important thing. Second would be understanding the tech. So you should be able to use different tools and technologies. Some examples I can give is you should be very good with Excel, tools like Power BI, tools which are used for budgeting. So you should, you don't have to be an expert, but you should be willing to learn and get better and better with time. And finally, I would say communication, because all the work that you do, the work doesn't get reflected till the time you communicate and till the time you show how that matters to the decision that the company needs to make or the CFO needs to make.
Amazing. And regarding, we are hearing about AI, about many technological developments that have been changing, the entire world, especially, as you mentioned, all the boring and boring activities are being automated and being done by AI these days. How much do you feel that AI and everything is changing or helping or contributing to the world of FP&A?
Yes. So a lot of people are scared that AI might take up their jobs. However, it is not completely true. So AI will most likely be taking over, or it's already started taking over, the repetitive and the boring and the jobs that people don't like to do. So as I mentioned, it might be creating a Excel report, or it might be creating a PowerPoint presentation. So all of those boring repetitive tasks can be now done by AI. So finance people can focus on the more important things like strategy, helping the business understand in what direction they need to go, helping business analyze the data that Dhawal talked about. So finance people can now focus on a lot of value addition things rather than doing the repetitive and the boring things.
And on that note, Dhawal, I want to ask you, because there are many FP&A teams, and people they do it these days, especially after your success in that region. I want to ask you, what makes a good FP&A team a great team? What makes it very, very successful?
That's an interesting question. So I think I would say about two things makes a great FP&A team. One is understanding the business stakeholder and their requirements. And then the second thing would be building relationships with the cross-functional team members, because FP&A is not just about analyzing the data. It is about building relationships and helping the business stakeholders take certain prudent financial decisions. So these are the two things that would differentiate a great FP&A team.
Amazing. And Asif, I want to ask you, about your courses, about your programs. Mm-hmm. Can you just walk us through? Let's say I understood that you have a beginner program and you have a more advanced program. Take us through them.
Sure. So let me talk about the two most popular programs that we have. The first one is the FP&A Masterclass. It is a 4-week program, and the purpose of the FP&A Masterclass is to help anybody who's working in a non-FP&A role like audit, tax, accounting, to learn quickly about FP&A and be able to face the FP&A interviews and clear those FP&A interviews with confidence. So that is the objective of the FP&A Masterclass. So that was a beginner level 4-week program. And then we have an advanced FP&A 6-month certification, which is called the Certified Global FP&A Professional, which is CGFPA. And it is a CPD certified accreditation where we spend 6 months meeting the people who are participating in the program, and we go deep dive into 10 different modules, and it's a much more advanced certification. The objective of the CGFPA is to help people face the challenges that usually new FP&A analysts face on their jobs.
Amazing. And Dhawal, how does your program is different than other programs that are available in the market today?
Sure. So I think the nature of FP&A is such that it is very experiential in nature. So that's what we have tried to do. So if I have to hire an FP&A manager today, and how do I train that person? So that is how we have designed this program. It has a lot of real life case studies, group discussions and simulations, which directly make our students ready for FP&A role. So that is how we differentiate with our courses.
Amazing. And Asif, can you share maybe some sort of a case study or a success story that you've experienced during, helping so many people upscale themselves?
Yeah, so maybe I can share one. We had a student who joined the advanced CGFPA program, which I talked about, and he always wanted to get into FP&A. He had been working in a controller and accounting role for more than 10 years, but never had these confidence to apply for an FP&A or a finance role. So what happened is he took the program, and after just 2 months completing the program, he got the confidence and he got the skills that are required to face the interview, and was able to transition immediately in the same organization from an accounting role to a FP&A role.
Amazing. And could you maybe share with me some sort of a typical career path for someone that does FP&A?
Yeah. So typically when you start as an analyst. So that is the first entry level position. You spend about a year or 2 years, and then you get to a senior analyst position. After maybe about 5 years, you become a manager. And from there, you could become a head of the FP&A. You could be leading a FP&A team in about 7 to 8 years. And eventually, you could end up being a CFO of an organization. Some people also end up getting into the business teams.
Amazing. So it definitely can jump you, to actually becoming a C-level, which is amazing. Dhawal, do you have to be a chartered accountant to do FP&A?
I get asked this question a lot. Okay, do you have to be a chartered accountant? Absolutely no. But what I would recommend is that anybody who's serious about their finance career needs to have at least one solid base qualification. It can be a CA, CPA, CMA, or any of these base qualifications. On top of that, if you are able to equip yourself with the right FP&A skill sets, then you have a higher probability of progressing in your career much faster than others.
So Dhawal, I want to ask you, because we're seeing still a lot of people going to colleges, going to universities these days, learning finance. Do you feel that those institutes are losing their relevancy in a world where you need to understand the right profession and to get experience as fast as possible?
Traditional institutes are not losing relevance, but they are falling behind to catch up on what is relevant for the industry. They are great to get a job, or they're great at the entry level, but after that, they are not able to keep up with what is really required in the industry. So that is where FPI is kind of trying to bridge that gap by providing courses and certifications to help finance professionals really learn what is required to work in a CFO's office.
Amazing. And Asif, I want to ask you, I know that, and we've talked about it before the episode, I understood that you are not only, giving the education and the information to your students, you're also building a community for them to actually understand and be able to make connections and friends. How much do you feel that it's a vital part of understanding a profession, of getting, become better professionals?
I would say community is one of the most important part of our institute. And when people ask me for recommendations on which certifications I should do or which course I should do to upskill myself, I always tell them pick a course or a certification which has a good community support. Because what happens is you could learn the content from any certificate, but when you have access to people who are like-minded like yourself, and in many cases they will be 2 steps ahead of you, you could reach out to them and you could talk about the challenges that you face on a day-to-day basis. So community, I would say, is one of the most important element of our institute. And what we do is we bring in guests every month so that people are engaged, they get to learn new things. We do Q&A sessions. We also have a job portal where we encourage our alumni to share jobs that comes through their networks. So community at FPI is a very, very important element of our institute.
Amazing. It's really very important, to actually implement the information. And Dhawal, I want to ask you, you are giving a lot of information, a lot of data for your students. How do you make sure that they actually apply it when they get to a job?
Sure. In fact, the cases that we teach at our courses are actually reverse engineered. So we have a lot of connections with CFOs and FP&A leaders in the market. We have also an active advisory board. So these people help us develop case studies which are highly practical. So once you learn these case studies, you are actually able to go and implement them much faster in your work than any other academic institution. So that's how we have reverse engineered to kind of be ahead in the industry compared to any other institutes.
Amazing. And Asif, I want to ask you as well, how do you feel, because we are seeing CFO now, I guess that some of our listeners now want to be a CFO or will be a CFO in the future. How do you see the difference between the future CFOs from people that actually went and learned and become more knowledgeable to people that are doing, the accounting, the auditing, as you mentioned, and they are staying in their level? How do you feel their chances to actually become CFO one day?
Yeah. So a lot of people have that aspiration, especially people who are working in entry-level finance role, that one day they want to become a CFO of large organizations. That is the objective of many finance professionals. So what I would say is the top 3 things that you could focus on right now to become a CFO is, the first one would be that you need to understand the business that we already talked about. So without the business understanding, you may not be able to get beyond a certain point. So become very good with how the business works. So that is the number 1 thing. And maybe I would add another one, which would be adaptability. So when your seniors are giving you a raise or they're giving you the next position, they also want to see that you are ready for that or you are capable of executing that. So being adaptable to different situations, different locations, different positions is going to be very important. For example, you may have to work in a tax team for a couple of years. You may have to work in a controller team for a couple of years so that you get all the experience that is required to become a CFO. So it's not just FP&A. You need diverse experience to be at that level.
All right, and Dhawal, if we are talking about someone that wants to do this transformation from FP&A to CFO, what kind of leadership qualities you should have?
Sure, I think FP&A is the first step to become the CFO, right? Because it gives you that commercial understanding that you require to help businesses to take decisions. On top of that, you need to learn leadership skills, team leading especially, because leading a 5-member team is very different from leading a 50-member team. So if you're a CFO of a large company, then you need to learn how to manage a 50-member team or a 100-member team, right? That is one thing. And the second thing would be understanding the CEO type that you're working with. Because that is very important, because the CEO and the CFO work as a co-pilot, right? So that's why understanding your CEO, are they detail-oriented? Are they strategic in nature? Are they requiring any decision support? If you are able to understand your CEO better, then you have a higher chance of succeeding as a CFO. So from FP&A to CFO, leadership skills, understanding your CEO. These are the two important skill sets.
Definitely important skills. As someone who's been a CEO and worked with some CFOs in his life, it's definitely when we had good synergy, it definitely helped us become a better team. So Asif, I want to ask you, what would you suggest or want to say as an advice to someone who's stuck in a financial, in a regular financial job and want to upscale his life, upscale his career?
Yeah, a lot of people reach out to me saying that they are doing the same role for the last 3, 4, 5 years and they feel that they are stuck in their career. So I would probably give them 2 things that they could do. First is figure out what they need to do next and learn about that particular area. You could learn through books, courses, certifications. Different people learn in different ways. So spend about some time, about a month or 2, learning about the new area that you want to transition to or you want to make the change. And after you do that, be open to taking a slight risk, which might involve leaving your comfortable position and going at a 1 level down position, which might be sounding scary in the short term. But if you're really interested in the new area, it might not be that a bad risk to take in the long term. So yeah, learn about the new area and then be open to taking a risk to be able to get into a different position.
Amazing. And I want to ask you, Dhawal, since you built such an amazing institute, both of you built such an amazing institute, what has been the biggest challenge you would say for building it?
I think the biggest challenge has been the awareness. Finance professionals think that once they have a certain base qualification, they know everything about finance, right? So awareness has been our biggest challenge. So once people understand that yes, financial planning and analysis is something, it can be a game changer if they understand for their own career as well as for their company. If they're able to understand this, then they are able to make the best use of it. Until that time, until people are aware of what FP&A can do for them, for their careers and the business, it is going to be a little bit challenging for us to kind of grow it.
Yeah, and Asif, we are talking here to people sometimes, young or the beginning of their career, professional career, and they want to, do better and learn from experience of others. What would you say to someone, to yourself at the beginning of your professional career before you, jumped into FP&A?
Yeah, so I wish somebody would have told me this when I had started my career. So one thing I would say is, although this might not be on the side of the institute, so don't just blindly do any certification. So you should figure out what are your interests and what are your long-term objectives. A lot of people do certifications just because they need to show that certification on the resume. A lot of people do it just because their friends are doing that certification. So don't do that. Figure out what you are interested in, figure out what is your long-term objective, and pick up a certification that aligns with both of those. So I would probably say that is one thing I would have loved to be taught when I had started my career.
So I wanted to ask really both of you, because you've been teaching and teaching other people, those, finance things. What is the thing that you felt that helped your students understand best your material, your education?
I think it has to be the case study based approach, because what we are teaching is highly practical. They can learn it today and go ahead and implement it in their job right away tomorrow. That has to be the game changer for what we are teaching to our students.
Amazing. And if we are talking about the word, the CEO word, let's look it from the eyes of the CEO. How much do you feel that FP&A are a crucial part of the CEO's understanding of the business, of the actual success of the business, of the finance, part, which is sometimes the most important thing of a business, right?
Yeah. So CFO is one of the right hand, you could say, for the CEO. And you could say FP&A is the right hand of the CFO. So directly or indirectly, if you say anything that CEO needs to know, that goes to the CFO, and anything that requires a deeper analysis, a deep dive into what is required for the business, eventually comes up with the FP&A team. And the FP&A team is the only team in the company which is coordinating and collaborating with the different business units and all the different teams, be it sales, marketing, operations. So it's a one-point contact. So I would say yes, definitely the FP&A team is probably one of the most important teams for both the CEO and the CFO.
Amazing. And what kind of analysis do FP&A team gives to the CEO? What kinds of information do they give? And do they also decisive, which means they allowed not just to hand out some recommendations? Are they actually part of the decision making in a company?
Yes. So I think FP&A teams, the main role is to also provide insights. They just don't analyze the data. They also provide insights. By insights, I mean it will come in the form of options. If a CEO or a business leader has to decide certain things, the FP&A team analyzes different scenarios and gives them options that, okay, if you go with option A, then this is going to be the profitability. If you go with option B, then this is going to be the profitability. So scenario planning is one of the most important aspects that FP&A deals with. The other aspect is the profitability analysis. Every company is structured in a different way. Some would like to look at client profitability. Some would like to look at regional profitability, branch profitability. So FP&A team is involved in computing these different types of profitabilities and empowering the business leaders to take prudent financial decisions.
Amazing. And what is the role, because as we mentioned before, AI and all those technical things that, automate some of it even replace. How much do you feel that the person or the mind behind those machines are important, and they should be, understandable and well, to captivate well the entire data of the company?
Yeah. So since FP&A is the one point of contact for the CEO and CFO for the entire organization, and FP&A team is the person or the team who's speaking to or who's interacting with all the different teams, sales, marketing, operations. So the communication and the softer elements, which could be called as business partnering in simple words. So business partnering is always going to be there, irrespective of how much ever your repetitive and the boring tasks get automated. So that business partnering element, which is the communication part, and making sure that everybody understands what needs to be done and making sure that the things are done, is always going to be there, irrespective of AI.
Amazing. And Dhawal, can you maybe share with me, from your experience, from your job as a professional, as an FP&A professional, one time or one thing that your insights, that your information helped change a business decision or actually improve it or take a good business decision?
Sure, there have been plenty of instances, but I think I can recollect one or two of them. One is that we were expanding to a new geography, and at that point in time, I knew with my past experience that people or customers don't pay on time in that geography. So we tried to build the finance cost in the pricing itself. So that's what comes with experience. I think on a second occasion, I would say that while building a company forecast, there are certain macroeconomic factors that would impact your forecast, and you might not be hitting the target on that particular year. I was aware of those macroeconomic forecasts, and I was able to implement it while preparing the forecast. And then that's how we were able to kind of tone down our forecast, and we were able to beat our numbers instead of just struggle to kind of reach that number that we had targeted in mind.
Amazing. So it's one example why FP&A is such an important role. And to wrap this interview up, what is one message that you want every FP&A professional, aspiring FP&A professional, to know before, as part of this interview?
Yeah, so I can go first. So what I would say is focus on the skills. Don't focus on only the certification. So if you focus on building the skills, and if you are able to market those skills effectively, then you don't need the certification. So focus on the skills, not on the certifications.
Amazing. Very good tip.
And I would like to add to that. I think focus on cross-functional relationships, because you will always be dependent on various teams to provide you the data, and they will be dependent on you for various financial insights. So build strong cross-functional relationships. That will help your FP&A role become easier, and it'll make your life easier to execute that FP&A role in a much more effective way.
Amazing. So, thanks to both of you, I came to know how important the FP&A role is for companies, and you are teaching it and helping a lot of other people. Dhawal, Parvatikar, and Asif Masani, thank you so much for coming here. Of course, we'll add all the details to FP&A Professionals Institute on the bottom of this podcast, so everyone can join your company. Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure, Elias. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being with us. See you next time. Bye-bye.